As we begin tonight's newscast with a story out of the Sacramento, California area where the family of Phil M. Raymond Cabalfin Jr. continues to search for the 19-year-old college student after he was swept away by the American River's currents last Thursday. Dramatic new video released by Ray's family Monday night shows the moments he was last seen. On May 11th, Ray went to Lake Clementine Trail in Auburn with friends and jumped into the river near Clark's Pool, a popular swimming hole. Ray is then seen calling for help as he was swept away by the river's strong currents.
No, it's good. Hey, Ray, you.
According to Ray's family, his friends immediately called 911 and tried to intercept him downstream, but soon lost sight of him. Ray's family did not find out about his disappearance until 24 hours later. State parks officials ruled Cabalfin's disappearance as a drowning. However, in a phone
All right, Shalom. This is the brother Baya back here once again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Chai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, sincerely waiting and enduring until the return of Yahweh Chai, Moshiach, to deliver us out of this last captivity. We're going to touch on this word, or the phrase, should I say, because it's two words. We're going to touch on the phrase carried away. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. It says, now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, he's talking to his brethren here. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Let's get that word, brethren, in the concordance.
Strong's G80, Adelphos, Adelphos.
Meaning, a brother, whether born of the same two parents, or only of the same father or mother, which we know the lineage comes from your father, having the same national ancestor, belonging to the same people or countrymen, belonging to the same people. All right. So we got the understanding who Paul is speaking to in the church of Corinth. Okay, his brethren of the same people of the nation of Israel. Okay. So let's read this again. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I will not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led, right? Led away, carried away. All right, so I played this video in the beginning, okay, of this young man being swept away, being carried away by a current, all right? Because that's what happened to the nation of Israel as a whole. We were carried away, all right, from our heritage, from our nationality, all right? I use this analogy at camp, but you liken our heritage, or Yahweh being the Most High and Yahweh Shah being our big brother. You liken Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah and our heritage as a port, all right? We're docked at this port, and somewhere along the lines, we get carried away from that port, all right? We get swept away, we get drifted away from the port of our heritage, the port of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, the truth, all right? Our nationality, our customs, the laws, statutes, and commandments that were given to us, Get that in Psalms 147 real quick. Carried away. Carried away. All right. Very simple concept when you're not intoxicated with Christianity. Psalms 147. Let's go down to verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. So we were led away, we were carried away from the statutes, all right, the commandments, all right, the ways of Yahweh Shai, our heritage, our heritage, okay, we were carried away from that. So I liken us as a nation, well, when we were in that Gentile state of mind, being carried away with them, with those idols. Okay, we were carried away with those idols, and like I said, I likened it as a port. All right, us being rooted in state, us being rooted, all right, and established at the port of our heritage, all right, our nationality, who we are. Um, let's get Exodus, I believe it's the sixth chapter, because even though Moses wasn't carried away by idol worship, we know that he was carried away by a current, all right, from his heritage, right? No, it's Exodus, the second chapter, not Exodus, the chapter, right? So let's read this. Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. You can liken the carrying away of the nation of Israel as the carrying away of Moses from his heritage, right? It's Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. There went a man of the house of Levi and took a wife, a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's bank. And his sister stood afar off to wit what will be done to him. Right? And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. Right? They seen this baby um, being carried along by the current. And her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child. And behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." So Pharaoh's daughter understood that this baby that was being carried along by this current, being carried away from his heritage to a new nation, right? He would adopt the customs of the Egyptians, the ways of the Egyptians, the ways that Pharaoh's daughter, which would go on to be stepmother, would teach him the ways of Egypt, and he would grow up an Egyptian. He was carried away from his Hebrew nationality, his Hebrew heritage, right? Um, verse 7 it says, "Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away, right, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it, right? Verse 10, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called his name Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water, Mashah, to be drawn out of, right? He was carried away from his heritage into a new uh nationality, right? He grew up amongst a strange nation, right? But even within that, even though he was carried away from his heritage, Moses in turn was brought back, right? He was brought back unto his nationality. He was brought back he was redeemed back from the Egyptian ways back to his Hebrew brothers and sisters, man. Right? Let's get that account when Moses decided to leave the Egyptian ways he had adopted and to suffer as his people. Um, oh, hey, I'm already in the 'cause this is the story of Moses. Let's drop down um to verse 11. Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren. There's that word brethren again. Right? Remember, Paul is speaking about his brethren in the book of Corinthians. When Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. He saw an Egyptian, which is the nation he grew up under. He was Egyptian royalty. Moses grew up as Egyptian royalty, the Pharaoh's daughter, under the Pharaoh's daughter. Verse 12. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. He said to them that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? He was asking them, why are you fighting each other? And he said, who made thee a prince and he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. So right then Moses understood, look, I'm going to have to leave my Egyptian um customs that I have grew up under and become as like one of my brethren, because I just murdered an Egyptian, you know, for the sake of my brother. So bringing this out, because just to go back to the initial point, the Corinthians, where Paul is speaking to his brethren about how they were carried away, they were Gentiles. Well, they were is likened unto how Moses grew up, right? Grew up as a Gentile, grew up as he grew up under a heathen nation, but he still was a Hebrew. All right, Pharaoh's daughter understood this is a Hebrew child, right? So we were led away, we were carried away, but now we have been brought back, right, pursuant to the prophecy. We were brought back, right, under the blood of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Matter of fact, let me get, what is that, Ephesians? Is that Ephesians chapter 5? I can wrap it up with that. It's like Moses was brought back to his heritage, and in turn, he led his nation um, out of the hands of the Egyptians. He was chosen to be the leader, to lead his people out of the hands of the Egyptians. Uh, I don't think it's Ephesians chapter 5. Matter of fact, there is one in Ephesians, but I don't want that one. Um, there's a better one I can get. There's one in Ephesians chapter 1 that speaks about the redemption under the blood of Yahweh, but I want this in Titus. Let's go all the way down. This is Titus chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 13. Looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great power in our Savior, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and to purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Who's that peculiar people? The nation of Israel. Doesn't the scripture say that he chose himself a peculiar people, a chosen nation? And purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. So he gave himself that we may be redeemed, that he may redeem us. Let's get that redeeming. Um, let's get that redeemed here, okay?
Strong's G 3084. Lutrao. Lutrao.
To release or receipt of ransom, liberate by payment of ransom, cause to be released to oneself by payment of ransom. Remember, the curse said to the nation of Israel that no man will be able to buy you. Why? Because Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jebus, he was given that task on buying his nation back, right? Redeeming them back to the Father. So we were brought back to our heritage, carried away. Don't get it twisted, carried away, but also brought back. Let me get these two scriptures in Psalms 10. Let's get Psalms 107 and on the redeeming aspect real quick. Always spell Psalm wrong. I don't know why. Just something I do, man. Psalms 107, straight to the point. Psalms 107, verse 1. Oh, give thanks unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, who he have redeemed from the hand of the enemy. Right? His people have enemies. Right? Let's get Psalms 111. Psalms 111. Let's get Psalms 111 verse 9. It says he sent redemption unto his people. That's a pronoun. He sent redemption unto his people, his brethren. He have commanded his covenant forever. Holy and reverend is his name. So there we go. All right, we carried away, but redeemed back. All right. So I just want to touch on that word, carried away. Spirit had me want to touch on that. I hope it was edifying. The next time I say shalom.